Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that very warm reception. Thank you for that generous introduction. It is great to be here amongst friends again. I want to especially commend the leadership, our leadership in the House, starting with John Boehner, Pete Sessions, Peter Roskam, who's done a great job tonight, Eric Cantor, Mike Pence, and so many others. Let's give a round of applause to the leadership of our House Republicans. We see a unity of purpose. We see a commitment to conservative principles. As a rank-and-file conservative, I thank them for their leadership. I thank them for their mission, their purpose. I thank them for what they've accomplished already. I was asked to speak to you tonight. Actually, many of you asked that I reprise my State of the Union response speech. That was a joke. You're allowed to laugh at that, by the way. Indeed, I understand with President Obama's principles against torture, they're not allowed to show my speech to the folks at Gitmo anymore. They've now banned that. I'm not going to spend all night making jokes, don't worry, just one more. And I apologize in advance to my friends from Michigan. But I couldn't come talk to you without mentioning the AIG bonuses and what's kind of taken root across America. There is some good news out of this whole debacle. It apparently turns out that the Detroit Lions have gotten into the act as well. Apparently they want AIG-style bonuses. They've arranged contracts. The more they lose, the more they're going to get paid next season. All right, that's enough. I know you didn't invite me to come share a bunch of jokes with you tonight. I do want to thank you for having me. I do want to speak to you very seriously tonight about where we find ourselves in the public debate. I want to start with this assertion. For much of the last 5 years, the lines between the two political parties have become blurred. To the voters, it hasn't been clear which is the conservative party. You've heard me say this. America didn't stop being conservative. They felt like the Republican Party stopped being conservative. To too many voters, too many folks believe that both parties wanted to increase the size of government. Many folks believe both parties wanted to increase spending, wanted to drive our country into debt. Many folks didn't think there was much of a difference between the parties on taxes. The parties, to many people, it didn't seem like there was much of a difference the last couple of election cycles. We saw what happens when we allowed that to become the case. Voters were clear in 2006 and 2008. Look, if there's not a real difference in parties, it's clear who they trust more to expand government, raise taxes, and increase our debt. If both parties are going to expand government, it's easier to go with Democrats. At least we know they're good at it. Expanding government, increasing spending, growing the debt, wasting money are things we will never be as good at as the Democrats. Let's admit that right now. That is their expertise, and as long as elections are about that, we're going to lose those. But here's the good news. The Republican Party is beginning to find its way. We're beginning to find our voice. We're beginning to compete with the Democrats, and we know we're not going to compete with them by trying to outspend them. Thanks primarily to the Republicans starting the House of Representatives, the Republican Party has once again decided to be the conservative party in America. But let's also agree about this tonight. The time for talking about the past is over. Look, I think it's been healthy for us to look as Republicans in the mirror. I think it's been healthy for us to realize and admit our mistakes of the past. And we've done quite a lot of that. You've heard me say it. You've said it as well. We were defending spending and corruption we never would have accepted in the other side. But we have done enough of that. The reality is it's been 5 months, almost 5 months since the last election. It is time to declare our time of introspection and navel-gazing officially over. We need to stop worrying so much about the past, about fixing the Republican Party. We need to worry more about fixing our country and helping to chart America's future. Let it be resolved. From now going forward, we are going to be focused exclusively on America's future, on standing up for fiscal sanity before it is too late. The two political parties today offer the American people two very different visions for our nation. Let's explore those two visions. And let me stipulate this up front. I honor and I respect the Democratic Party's intentions and sincerity. The differences between the two parties are genuine, legitimate differences. This isn't because of political opportunism. These are essential differences based on opposing worldviews, opposing notions of what our nation's future should look like. On the Democratic side, let's start there. We now see the greatest expansion of government in our lifetime. If you go by the numbers, we see the greatest expansion of government in anybody's lifetime in our country's history. I want you to think about these facts. The spending spree under the Obama administration and Speaker Pelosi is now costing the taxpayers more than the Iraq War, more than the Vietnam War, and even more, and I hate to say this, even more than the Louisiana Purchase. At least we got a good return for the money we spent. At least I believe we got a good return for the money we spent on the Louisiana Purchase. Leader Boehner referenced some of these facts. I want you to stop and think about this. Nearly $1 trillion spent on the stimulus bill, including interest, followed shortly by a $410 billion appropriations bill with over 8,000 earmarks. And then followed that by a $3.6 trillion proposed budget for the next fiscal year. Now let's concede this for a second. Let's assume the administration is exactly right about every one of their assumptions. Let's assume that these temporary government programs truly are temporary and don't become permanent. Let's assume our economy starts growing in the second half of 2009. Let's assume they really do get all these savings from defense spending. Let's assume that what their price tags are estimated for health care and cap and trade are right and not what others have said. And let's finally assume their numbers, not CBO's numbers, are right. Even if you were to grant all those assumptions, even if you granted every assumption the administration makes, you would still be looking at annual deficits under the best case scenario of over $500 billion for years to come. Money that our children and our grandchildren are going to be paying back. I don't know about you, but this doesn't look a lot like the candidate, Barack Obama, that we met on the campaign trail. I like that guy better. I like the spending he was describing a lot better. I like the fiscal conservatism, the bipartisan, the end of earmarks that he described better than the spending proposals we're seeing today come from the administration and from Speaker Pelosi. But let me be clear. It is wrong to suggest the new administration has anything other than good intentions. This difference is born of nothing more, nothing other than a fundamental and an honest disagreement about the right direction for our nation. Too often in the heat of battle in politics, we get to this place where we talk about the other people as if they were sinister, as if they have some master plan to hurt our nation. Some on our side say the Democrats are trying to destroy the free enterprise system and bankrupt America. Some on their side say that we don't care about working people. Let me be clear. Neither of these assessments is true. Neither is reasoned political discourse.